special guest, Pedro Damasceno. Pedro, thank you so
Hey,
much for being here. How are you? How have you been?
thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty excited, super pumped. Uh, yeah,
Happy to hear.
couldn't,
Happy to
could,
hear.
yeah,
Happy to hear.
yeah, yeah. No, this is going
Um,
to be awesome.
it will be. So, folks, for some of you that don't know Pedro yet, Pedro, tell us a bit about yourself. Like, what do you do these days? And then, if you can tell us a bit about your journey towards network automation, right?
Yeah,
We want to see different folks here have different paths, and it's always interesting to hear, where people started and where they are now, and how
yeah,
they got to where they are. So, if you could
cool.
please tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, of course. So, yeah, named Pedro Damasceno, Brazilian. I've been uh, working with network automation for it's already been 4 or 5 years. Currently, I am at the German Stock Exchange, and I've been doing some uh, network automation projects on the colocation, on the high frequency part. And what we are going to be showing today is something that started pretty small. It was for my onboarding or for me to try to understand a big network and creating some tools, difficulties that we have had to connect information that is all over the place for the network engineers. And okay, it started growing and growing, and then now we are talking about AI. I saw so many folks taking a leap on this subject, so took inspiration on many of them. John Capobianco, Elliot took a lot of ideas. You're going to see this. It has a lot of inspiration on their work and what they've been doing. And then I said, okay, let me give it a try. And what we're going to do today is to see the AI agents in action, right? So we will be talking about all the hype, what it's worth or not, the difficulties I faced while building this, and hopefully we're going to reach some limitations. We have a lab that we'll be walking through, and in the end, maybe we can get some ideas what we can break and to see the agents doing their work. So yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, I entered the, maybe I deviated a little bit, but I entered on the network automation for a company that is called Thermo Fisher when I was in Budapest, and
Oh,
that's
I
how
know
I
Timothy. Sure, I know them.
yeah. So I was hired there to be a network automation engineer, and I was given this opportunity. And when I arrived there, I thought I'm going to be fired. I don't know anything. It's so much stuff that you need to understand. It was Docker and all the
Mm.
protocols and how to deal with such impact that you're going to have when you're automating. You get, those goosebumps from the first try, but yeah, everything worked well, uh, and here we are today. So let's get
So
to
cool,
it,
so
right?
very cool. Yeah, I see Brazil being represented here in the comments.
Yeah,
Bunch of folks commenting
thank
on
you
YouTube.
guys.
So thank you all for joining us and watching the stream. We really appreciate you guys and girls. So Pedro, AI, right? Let's jump in and kind of talk a bit in more detail. So about your project. So you were studying at the German Stock Exchange, right? And
Correct.
then trying to kind of figure out how things are working and building kind of a source of truth. I would imagine, right? Like, let me build an application where that I can better understand what type of devices I have in this network, what type of infrastructure is there. So what made you do that? And did
I
you get
think,
support, or was like just you by yourself? It's like, let me figure out just
yeah,
one
I
man
mean,
show.
yeah, in the end, of course, I had support from a lot of my team members, more on the like, okay, what is our difficulties? What is the pain that we currently face? And I started doing like, yeah, basically this one man army tool. It started pretty small. You don't, when you start, you don't know the reach of what you're going to build. It was initially only a CLI application.
Hmm.
It was built with Click. I just wanted to, okay, we have a lot of scripts. I don't know where they are, how to reach the backup, how to talk to the uh, there we have different sources or teams, like how to reach the firewall, where is this located, how can I see if I have approval for my change, So I started building this. Eventually, I said, okay, maybe this needs a graphical interface, and then this is we're going to be talking about it. Maybe I can already share the screen, and
Yeah.
we'll get to it. And right, let
Yes.
me.
Let's jump in. The Brazilians are excited in the comments. So, vamos, Pedro. Let's go.
Okay.
And Pedro, by the way, did you do any coding in college, or is this something that you picked up while working on this? Like, what's your developer background?
Yeah, I did only basic programming in college. I started with the usual networking path. Actually, I started in the Cisco collaboration environment, switched to the more traditional path on the networking side, on the enterprise environments. And then, yeah, that's why I told you, I thought I was going to be fired. I didn't know much about programming and all the environment that really builds up or like have all this base. One thing that really helped me, and I would recommend for anyone that's joining this space, is the CBT Nuggets course. They're awesome at everything they explain, and it really saved my life, right? They had this course about network automation, and they talk about everything there. It really leveled up my game, and this I couldn't be thank so much the training that I've had with them.
Very cool. Very cool. Can you zoom in a bit on this, please? Just a couple of times so that
More?
a bit more. One more. There you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So in the end, so this is the platform that I started creating. As you can see here on the side, I started adding more and more information. Today, what we are going to see is this topology here. This is where we are going to work with. And everything that is here, it's based on the source of truth that you have. Here I am using Netbox just because it was the one that was easier to quickly spin up. The idea is that everything that is on the source of truth is going to be reflected here. This is how we're going to have access to our devices. And I started building from it. And the idea is that a problem that I started having is how can I make sure that my intended state and my network really don't drift, and I can catch that early. So this is one of the main components. And this topology is to try to understand in a big overview, like, okay, how my network is built. So you have the layer one, that is kind of what we're seeing, how the connections are built using LLDP and CDP. Again, it's all based on the SOT. If you don't have your SOT, it's not going to show here. This is not a discovery script. But once I have the devices, we can create, like, I'll gather information from them. So for example, to build this is our OSPF neighborship adjacency, and we currently don't have a BGP. We'll try to ask the AI agent to create a BGP connection from R1 to R4, and we're going to see if it's going to happen or not, right? So then we can see, like, look for IP addresses, try to query our network based on the topology that we have. Also, I created like this site view because it kind of gives you an easier way to see, like, only the logical part, how, okay, our core, how it is connected. We have so many connections to one of our sites, how it goes to our edges. It at least gives you like this logical interpretation of how things are being displayed in your network, right? Without going to so much detail. Of course, you can open and yeah, we're going to go from here. So just to show you, coming back to previously, also get some data that is taken from the SOT, right? Sometimes you're trying to troubleshoot and you want to see the information that you have, some comments. You see that here, yeah, something that we can ask the AI to do actually. Should be querying via SNMP some of the information from this device, for example, trying to query interface status or bandwidth consumption. And we have the part that I talked about to see how it drifts, a bunch of compliance tests. So you see, like, if it's failing something, and we are going to make sure our network is in compliance with the rules that we set, and if it drifts from our intended state, right? So this is going to be the idea of what we have today. Also created something to be useful here for the engineers. You're going to do a change. You want to create the snapshots before, after, upload it to your ticketing system, after, see if there was any config difference. We're going to also take a look at it. Hopefully the AI is going to use the snapshots tool, and then we go to the compliance part, right? So the idea on this is that you can create some custom compliance checks that fits what your network needs. So I already imported some of them. We can ask to create. The AI is also able to create your compliance checks. So for example, we have some here on the inventory. We're just making sure that the inventory has all the data that we want. For example, it follows the naming convention, has the device standards, it has a primary IP. Then we go to the network, like, okay, I want to make sure that we can SSH into the devices. We have the syslog configured, have the DNS set. Like the idea is that you can test and make sure that your network really has the expected state that you want. And here you can filter, again, based on your intended state, based on the role of your device, on the device type, on the site. We're going to take a look at it. We see here, for example, we have an NTP that is failing. We build, like, what is the test that we want? What is the expected state? If it fails, you can upload it to Jira, see the diagnostics for all of the devices, and all the affected devices that we have are 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's also ask AI to fix that for us. Right, all of the access for the devices are connected to a vault, and then we go to the AI part, right? Okay, so here is what the shining part for today, right? So that's the idea, and let me talk a little bit about how it was built. If everyone is following now, I'm not sure. I'm not looking at the chat. Okay, so if anything, please interrupt me.
Yeah.
So,
we're all watching. We're all watching, Pedro.
Okay, so perfect. The idea on this AI, it's built on LangChain. LangChain is an ecosystem, right? That is a suite of components that create some integrations to support developers to create like the initial prototyping phase on the AI, the deployment, and the ongoing management. So you have a lot of features, a lot of frameworks, right? So you have LangGraph, you have LangChain, you have LangSmith for the observability, a lot of frameworks for you to build on top of it. So we're using LangGraph to build it, and the idea on it is that it builds graphs. So the idea here, this is what the AI is going to do. The way I created it, it's creating in stages, and when you build this with the LangGraph, it creates, we need some terminology, okay? So we need nodes that are these squares or rectangles that you see, meaning these are the tasks that we're going to do, okay? So I'm going to create a query for the agent. It's going to classify the intent. It's going to gather more agents. This is a multi-agent architecture. Going to go on in that in a bit. We're going to resolve the gaps if there is any information that we need. Check clarification. This brings the human in the loop to clarify the intended state. If you, what did you mean? If the agent didn't understand it properly, then it goes to the deciding, planning, acting, and evaluation phase. And then it pushes the config, right? Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe you just want a troubleshooting ticket. You don't want to create something. So this is where you have all these lines that are the edges. This is how one node connects to the next one. And then you can kind of create the routes, like depending on the information that you have, meaning this is the state. So the state, it's like the information that you have while your agent is running. So we're going to store messages, intermediate results, metadata, and this is going to be used for us to know, okay, from the gather agents, if something's failing, okay, we're not going to try to move forward. We're just going to synthesize an end. Maybe, so this is how we're going to see, like, okay, how am I going to route this to this environment? Okay, because like if you're creating one agent, let's say, okay, it's very non-deterministic, right? So you may ask a question to ChatGPT, to Anthropic. If you ask the same question twice, it will get different phrases, wordings. Okay, so it's non-deterministic. Here we kind of make it. It will go through the phases that we want, and depending on the result, on the failures, we're going to route it to the proper place. And this is where we're going to see like it working. And then the difficult part is to try to understand, okay, why did it take this route? Because sometimes, yeah, it takes paths that we were not expecting. So trying to do this observability is what we're also going to do today while we ask the AI to do something, right? So maybe, yeah, questions?
Yeah, there's a couple of questions actually, Pedro, that came through here. So Ioannis is asking, what is the difference between LangChain and LangGraph?
Okay, so the LangChain, it basically gives you the components that you need to build. The LangChain, for example, gives you a way to talk to the different APIs from OpenAI, from Anthropic, in a easier way for you to change them, gives you components for you to consume and to from knowledge bases. It builds ways for you to change the system prompts and for you to chain all of that. And then when you're building the LangGraph, it's creating these nodes, these states that you're going to go through while you're developing your agent. So the idea is here that create these nodes, these routes that you're going to use. And this is what also gives you the way, for example, the chain, let's say it's a one-way street. Okay, so I ask the AI something, it's going to go through the chain and end. Here with the LangGraph, you have the option to go to a graph, for example, to a node. Depending on the result, you come back. Depending on the result, you act, then you reason again, so you have this way for you to move back or move to different paths on your AI interaction. Make sense?
It does, yes. And then one more question here from Giuliano. He's asking, why have you decided to split into different agents?
Okay, great question. So building agents, in the end, it really feels like you're creating a company. Okay, so let's make this comparison. So you're building your company. Let's say you have your network guy, and you start giving them a lot of tasks, right? So the guy has to know about the network. It has to know the rules about the procedures that we follow. It has to know when should we create the rollback, how should we plan, and this starts to be all the tools that it has. It starts to be difficult for you to grow. So once you start separating, it gives you a more modular way for you to develop. Okay, so you have this modularity, let's say creating teams, right? Okay, so you have the networking team, the security team that specialize, they only need to know this amount of information, this amount of tools, and they're very specialized in what they do. So this gives you the way to separate, to not influence, for example, to give a maintenance, it would help you because you're not touching the complete system, you're tackling only one of these parts. So it's more like a how can I say, microservices architecture, right? So to be independent, and lightweight, let's say scalability, you can scale only one agent, and it gives you this easier maintenance, let's say. Also makes sense?
Yeah, so for scaling purposes, right? And also making sure that you split functionality into smaller components so that you can scale, but at the same time, you can maintain and optimize that code for a specific task, right?
Yeah. For example, what we have here, I have 4 or 5 agents. Some of them are not up. Let's say we have the networking agent that will talk to the network, but we have the ticketing system agent. So the network agent doesn't really need to know like what's going on the ticketing system. The ticketing system agent is going to be specialized, know what to query. It has its own rules. Then we have an agent that is going to book, let's say, when you want this change, because it knows, like, it controls all the change requests that we receive. It knows all the rules. and then you have also a smaller context window that it can fit. Otherwise, you have one agent that has to fit all of these rules, and eventually you're going to lose some of them. Right?
Right. Yep. And then Ioannis, one more comment before we jump through. So he's saying LangChain is basically one dimension and LangGraph is multiple dimensions, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect.
Okay. So you got it, Ioannis.
Let's go for it. Let's ask you to do something. Okay, so let's start small, right? Let's give it something simpler to do. Maybe we can, it was the SNMP, right? So first things first, let's see what we have here on the devices. We don't, so let me select all of them here, show, run, right? Include SNMP. And we see that we have the host, and we don't have the community. That's why it failed when it was querying on the topology. So let's ask it to add the community to all of our routers, right? So where is it? AI agents. So, and here you can ask, let's say, we try to give as someone would use it. So the better prompt you have, the better result you need, but it should be bulletproof, right? So let me see. Configure SNMP community. Let's give it alt netops. If we don't give it, it should clarify with read only on all the routers. There we go. So this is the, it starts to analyze. We are going to be able to follow here what is going on. So it's gathering the agents. So the idea here, you see, like it's going to query first if there is any ticket that has anything related to it, then it should select which agent should bring this information. So it goes to the network, the remediation. You see that it's trying to solve some gaps that it might have. So we should be here like, okay, check clarification. This is the state, and it's asking us for, I need more input. So the remediation needs information that whether existing community meets your requirements. Yes. Deployment capability, right? Okay, let's give it something like push the config. For here, nothing really to solve. So then it goes back again, reason about the feedback. Let's go to our graph. Like the coordinator is reasoning, deciding what it's going to do with it. If it decides that it should plan, then it's going to build a plan, and it's going to move on to the next phase. And the way you're doing this, you are the one who defines how you're going to build or the phases that you want. So you see, I created a plan gate. So it creates the plan, build the plan, and it should add for you to approve. So here's the plan that we have, like presented to you. So for R1, R2, R3, and R4, this is what we're going to push, the configuration that we're going to push. So we approve, reject, or maybe we want to reject with some changes. Looks good to me. This doesn't mean that we're still going to push. This is just approving the plan. So then here I decided to build, okay, how am I going to push this to the network? It is deciding that it's going to do a canary approach. So R1, it's going to be the canary we are going to push to it. And after, if it's successful, it batches to the rest of them. So again, yeah, we see calling the, like taking a snapshot, calling all the tools that it has, and should create the ticket. And there we go, confirming. Let me zoom out a little bit. And then we have here like everything that was done, all the tools that it called, like attached to Jira and the network, the remediation, every stage, so that I can try to understand what happened, right? So then suggested actions, and we should be able to see if it took effect. So first things first, this is Jira. You see like just kicked in the ticket that was created for us. So we have here the target devices, the blocks that were pushed, right? It took some snapshots. You see here the ID of the snapshots, and it pushed all of the snapshots that it had taken, and also added a comment with the result. So if we take a look on the snapshot, I have many different snapshots with many different commands. So this part, it's still not completely ready, production ready. You see that it shows the security profile. So this part is still ongoing. Like, how can I, depending on what you're asking, which profile should it match? So I don't have any profile that has any SNMP. So it's choosing one, and then you have like all the commands and the with already parsed information. And but the idea would be like, okay, you have a snapshot before, you have the config diff, so that you can see, for example, this one I have to remove from the diff, like message logged, how it was before and after, and it was attached to the case, right? So this part needs a little bit improvement, because my initial idea with this agent was to try to help me troubleshoot. I was not yet thinking about it touching the network. It adds so much complexity, so much things that you have to think about on the security level, and planning and rollback and evidence, the time that it is approved. So this adds a whole new level of complexity, and that's why this part here is still not production ready, but we'll get there. So okay, we have the change. It says it applied. We can verify, like, let me connect to one of the devices, run include SNMP, and we see here like, okay, the SNMP indeed was pushed. And if we go now to the topology, we should be able to query at least the uptime. Yeah, you see, so the uptime, I'm querying the SNMP, and I'm working on bringing better and more useful information here. Idea, start small, and then we iterate and start to make it better. So ideas following along. We can go on and start to give it a more complex task, and then we'll see how it goes, right? Or
yeah, there was a quick question, which I think is a good one here. Do you prefer to use a local LLM or a public LLM? And which LLM are you using, actually? By the way, we didn't cover that.
Nice question. Nice question. So the idea here is that I have this settings, right? So what we are seeing here is not everything that was built. So let's go here. We have the part of the features, and you see all of the features that would be able to be enabled. So the part of ACI, SD-WAN, the agents, the security. And once I have all of this, here on the configurations where I set it up. So for example, you see here how I connect to different ACI environments. This is even one of the students' environment that we were testing. Then I have here the part of the agents. And this is where we can get like, what are the AI model that we're going to use? Currently, I am using the Anthropic. I didn't show you guys this. One second. So it's going through the Anthropic, the API key. For the agents, I'm using this Claude Haiku, not a big one, but for the coordinator, I'm using a better one. Currently, this one is being used with the Opus 4.5 or 4.6, and previously I was testing with the Sonnet. It also gives very nice results. I just added the 4.6 to make it look good today. Now, to some things that came to my mind while I was here. I wanted to talk to you about, just to finish the question. So currently, yeah, using the public models, right? So this thing, you can select the OpenAI, Ollama. I have set up one Ollama instance.
Locally, right? On your
locally,
machine.
yeah. The problem here with this local instance, it's so slow. The server that I'm using is not powerful. It gives good results if you're patient enough, but usually it is catching my time out. Because also something that we have to take into consideration. You don't want an agent to be talking forever, so you have timeouts. You have some. I have here some limitation, API limits. The amount of requests that can be done simultaneously. Yeah. So by in a single session by tenants, this is split into tenants, and so I haven't tested with a real, let's say, a powerful server that in locally. So currently I'm using Anthropic, and then we come to the cost. I wanted to show you guys the cost of this. So this was just before we ran this is my current balance on Claude. And for this task, 22, right? So it charged us, oh yeah, so
15 cents.
yeah, exactly, something like this. So it was 15 cents to do this configuration on the for the SNMP. So usually what I've been testing with this, and you see like it's using the more powerful and more expensive model for the Claude Opus, and it's usually not that expensive. We can talk about some methods that I use to try to make it less expensive while developing this. But wow, I had something that it was on the agent. I don't. Yeah. So we have also here the confidence threshold, because what am I doing? What are some challenges that I started having while I was building these agents? So for example, we can ask the agent to do a troubleshooting scenario, right? So like my OSPF is down for whatever reason. Then it creates this request for all the agents. But the agents, the way I built them, they don't talk to each other. They have their own information and they report back to the coordinator. So I created them in a phased approach. This was taken from Elliot. It's called OODA, right? So OODA. So observe, orient, decide, and act. I just removed the act, and it's observe, orient, decide, and report. So the agents that I'm building, they don't have any capability of changing the network. So they only gather information, report back to the coordinator, and there is one agent that is here, the remediation, that it can touch anything. But then I have a gatekeep on this guy that we need approval for all of them. So then coming back, I made a request. There's something going on with my OSPF or my BGP, doesn't really matter. So I made this request for all the agents. Then I'm going to see if there is a previous ticket related to the OSPF. I'm going to see if there is, you see here, like something on my knowledge base, on my logging platform, and the network. But maybe one of them is not going to find anything. So there is no previous tickets. So I don't want this guy to take to influence the decision. So this is where comes this confidence threshold. So if we're not confident on the decision that we're making, the agent stops there, gives you, okay, this is what I see, this is what I recommend, but I'm not confident, so we're not touching the network. Because I started having some weird behaviors, for example, with poisoning of tickets of the knowledge base that we have information on how to solve something, but it was not really related, still was influencing. So we're going to get there with the memory and benefits and difficulties that we might reach with these agents and providing so much information, right? I don't know if I'm losing track.
No. It makes total sense. It makes sense.
Okay, so just while I'm with this in my mind, the idea here with the memory, since I talked about it, we can split the memory basically into terminologies, right? Or two chunks. We have the short-term memory and the long-term, right? The short-term, we can say that it's the information that is going to be held while we are talking on this session, right? So we are going to store metadata, tools, results, previous history. This is only related to this session, but some information we want it to persist throughout different sessions. And then we go to the long-term memory. And here let's also break it down to different approaches or different information or parts that it's going to be related to. We can say that we want procedural memory, right? So how do we do things here? So it's the procedure indeed that we are following. And this is going to influence the way our AI agent is going to perform something. We can say we want a semantic memory. This is data or, well, for example, let me think. Like a defined workflow, a run book, a change procedure, something that really doesn't change. And we want also some episodic memory. Like I want to know about previous interactions, past tickets, resolutions that might be useful for us. So this is all very nice. Like this will give us a way for our AI agent to be, let's say, improved learning, right? So it's going to be sharpened over time without us retraining the model, because it's going to use previous information. It's going to be able to do like better predictions or planning, but also it might create some deception or pollute our network. Like bad past episodes may nudge some future decisions, right?
Mhm.
So we might disclose some sensitive information. So for example, I had a case here. I created the knowledge base. That's why it's now shut down. I created information about how I want them to configure the NTP, right? So
Mhm.
this is the information. Use the management network. Always use this IP that is our NTP server. And okay, I'm going to start working to see if it follows the guidelines on the knowledge base. And by default, usually the knowledge base, you query by the closest match. And that was it. This, I was as simple as that. So then I asked something about BGP, for example, and I was querying the 5 closest matches, and it brought the NTP. So it has nothing related to my change, and it influenced the result. The agent
Mhm.
started configuring the NTP. So then, okay, I need a way to better score how close is uh, close enough. And if it's not, we're going to discard or disconsider. And eventually, like you're loading memory and that is not useful to your case, you're also being charged by that, right? You're
Yeah.
consuming tokens. So you want to be as little as possible, but with high quality. This is a challenge. And this becomes also an attacking area for you, right? It can influence, you can have poisoning
Mhm.
on the ticketing system. So yeah, it starts to get more difficult. Let's create a BGP, right?
Okay, yeah, we're
Uh,
getting to BGP, but before we jump into that,
yep.
quick question here that I think is also important from Renato. So, private information such as IP addresses, right, credentials, are those shared with the LLM for troubleshooting? So, are you sending any private data, or is the Anthropic model aware of credentials, IP addresses?
Okay, so in this one, the way I'm building, I didn't build so much parts of the security yet. We're going to get to some vulnerabilities that I already see, but we're not sending credentials. This is done via calling the tools. The tools is it has it solves the credential via the vault, and it called the tool already. The LLM doesn't receive this. But for example, the internal IP addresses, yeah, this I am sending, and you would need something like to filter out this informations, which to be honest, I'm not sure how reliable they are, because then you're looking for what regular expressions.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe then like, okay, I'm not you're going to look number dot, okay, but then you tell the agent to, okay, instead of dot, put 3 spaces and an underscore. Still you're going to be able to see the IP addresses, right? So you have this prompt injections, and that might be could leak. This is when we talk about the security, it's a lot of surface area. There is even,
Mm-hmm.
let me put here, this OWASP top 10 for agentic applications that we talk. It goes through some of the main uh, attacking areas. I think one of your
Mm-hmm.
previous guests also talked about it. Okay,
Yeah.
so the tool misuse, identity abuse, so for example, here gaps that I already know I have a prompt injection problem. I didn't treat this. So if you ask the AI to do something wrong, it will. You might have like goal hijacking, the leaking of sensitive information, uh, memory poisoning, rogue agents, uh, data exfiltration. You have like so much room for so much things that you need
So
to
much abuse
take
that you
care.
can do.
Yeah, so this is like when you start touching the network, it's really like touching, like configuring. This really comes into play. And that's why previously I was only on my graph, I was only doing until I didn't have this act and plan phase. I was only helping like troubleshooting scenarios, because also like something that we have to take in consideration, from where are we going to be triggered? Here we have this GUI, right? The graphical interface. But maybe you want your agent to be triggered by an alarm, right? So I wanted to start, if the monitoring system caught that we have an issue, I wanted to start analyzing, create a ticket for it. If there is a webhook coming from your intended state, from the source of truth, to do a change, maybe I want the AI to be queried. If here I have the compliance, right? So we have the compliance. If something fails, I want the AI to already start treating or to analyze what's going on. So we might also have different entry points for each one. Again, if it comes from the system, from the monitoring alarm, we don't have a prompt. We have only the alarm. So should it go through an orchestrator before and then like we have an enhanced prompt and then trigger the agent? How are we going to treat, for example, these clarifications via the ticketing system? It starts to get more complicated, your design, and naturally each decision has some trade-offs. So my idea is, okay, we start small, we start improving, and then I'll start tackling this security gaps. Naturally, a lot of learning there too, like the inter-agent trust, like creating, before we change, risk level, the 4 eyes principle, what is the blast radius of this change? Maybe we don't want a big change to be done via an agent. I don't know, creating these guardrails, for the prompt injection. We have an LLM as a judge, maybe. There is many techniques. We have to explore at this point. I'm not the one to be telling you like this is, as I said, not live production. It's should be there. Hopefully,
It will
with
get
some
there.
help, we'll get there. Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, already you see, like the thing does its thing. It does already a decent job at reasoning. It finds. I already tested trying to give some tricky scenarios. It really usually finds them well. The solving part is more complicated, but it at least the planning or giving you the report, it's very good. It's very, very good. Also, there is like, okay, so I'm building them with tools, and we have like this MCP now coming to play, right? So difference, what is the MCP? What are the tools? The tools, when you're building the agent, you kind of hard code them. You are the one responsible for them, and you are the one responsible for maintaining these tools. The idea of an MCP is that we're going to put it up somewhere, and our agent has this way of querying, okay, what do I have access to, and how will I communicate with external systems in a way that I'm not the one keeping responsible for managing it. Okay, so for example, we have the Cisco AI Canvas, right, that really uses this MCPs. So my idea here to also work on that is that I have here the MCP servers. The MCP, depending depending on the name, you're going to attach it only to a specific agent. I didn't put here maybe for the next one, right? We can use them more. I tested only with the logging. My idea was, okay, I have the logging, and we're going to use the MCP for them. And going forward, I would create more micro agents. Okay, so that, for example, I'm working on the network, but still I need more specialized agents to treat different parts of my network, right? So if I'm talking about traditional devices, but what if I'm talking about SD-WAN or ACI? They all have some different treatments or ways of communicating with them. So I want to give like, okay, the network agent, it's going to call sub-agents, micro agents, and then we can give more room for them to work and proceed with the requested analysis and so on.
Makes sense. Couple of other questions here that came through. Is this still a personal tool? Is it not your corporate? It is still, right, Pedro?
parts of it. So, for example, the AI agent is not in production. This part of the devices, the topology, the snapshots, this is already in production and going through the red team what's
Review or
review, yeah. So
right.
I mean, it's been already deployed in the lab of the company, and it's doing now all the
The
analysis for
compliance
the
part, connected to devices, running commands on multiple devices at the same
yeah
time, right? So all that part
yeah
is in pretty much in production at this point.
yeah.
And does
You
it
see,
do?
because
Yeah.
sorry,
Sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you finish your thought.
Yeah, so because you see that the rest is not really like, oh my god, this is something new. It's basically integrating with external tools. So the devices, we're pulling information from the netbox, so it's already going to integrate with your environment. You come here on the settings, add the configuration, find your where is it, somewhere here, yeah, connect it here. Now you have access on network, maybe. Yeah. So you see like the netbox, the token. Okay, now I have access. Then you're going to use the topology. Okay, I'm running as some salary workers. They're going to start pulling the information. You just need the libraries for that. The snapshots, yeah, it's also using like querying the information, using some parsing. And so this is not really, it's more just condensing them, a bunch of tools into one pane.
Right. And then one more question was here from Anis. Does it do CIS benchmark?
CIS benchmark.
I don't know what CIS is. I don't know either. So Anis, what do you mean by that? And is there an optimization for AI token usage as of yet?
Yes. So
There is.
yeah. So for the token usage, when talking to the network, I got an idea from John Capobianco that he uses this tune. It's this token optimization. So it kind of chunks some of the information that you're querying from the networks. So it tries to compress it. So let's say, for example, we are talking, let me go here quickly. You are running a tool and it's going to do just show version. Yeah, it can be show version. You see that it comes a lot of information like ROM, bootstrap, compiled, or copyright. You don't need all of that to be sending to your AI. So it tries to compress. If it fails, it's going to send everything. So this gives you a smaller tool usage. And then I'm using also caching. Okay, so the idea here is that you, for example, the Anthropic supports this caching. You pay for the first time when you're creating your workflow, right? Talking your context. You pay for the first time all the information that you're sending, but remember, you start on your conversation to you still send all the past information with the new information that you're sending from the user from your conversation, right? So the idea is that you're going to pay less for the information that you are sending all the time. So this is this caching mechanism. I have here the compress. So let me put here. So when your token usage starts to grow, the idea is that an agent is going to compress. So it's going to kind of summarize what you've uh, what you have, right? So depending on the tool that you're using or on the information, your context starts to grow too much. So you can configure this here. Where is it? Session max tool results, something like here, like 6,000, and the compactation attempts. So it starts to compact. If it still doesn't find, you try to compact 5 times. If it doesn't find, it stops the iteration, like, okay, not going through anymore, move on to the next phase, or synthesize and stop. So this started to give me a better token consumption for when it gets out of hand, right? Or the caching helped me a lot. You have the batching, which I'm not using. The idea would be that you don't need something to be streamed right away. So for example, I want to create a report. So you send this to your to Anthropic, for example, and this can be processed in 24 hours. So you're not going to be streaming right away. You can receive in a asynchronous way. This would be also an improvement. Not here, but yeah. Basically, yeah, this summarization and the tune for the networking part, and this maximum tokens that can be used in a session. It's what I've been using to avoid consuming so much tokens. Also, I try to make it configurable here on this part, like max tokens and so on. And yeah, then you have to experiment a little bit for your own network. Maybe different networks. Sometimes I was hitting when it was too low, like it was compressing too often, or before the answer was done, and started giving, like, stopping the workflow before solving the issue, finding out. So that's why also for this presentation, I increased a little bit. So for example, max 10 iterations. Before I was leaving only 5, the context messages and so on. So has some improvements. And what also something that I've been doing to follow along, this is attached to this length fuse. So you can see here, like the observability, right? So how much, let me update, how much it is consuming per model, per trace, and also like breaking down this. Okay, the coordinator uses a more robust model, and the agents use a smaller one, a cheaper one. Also started to give me better results. If you see, like I've been doing a lot of tests, and yeah, the usage to solve them, it's really not that high. Yeah, so cost by model, maybe we can filter here by, instead of past hour, maybe past 30 days. Yeah, you see, so it was more than 11 for sure. It was 20 something, but you would see something like this. All your interaction, and on the tracing, you can see like every session, everything that's going on. Like let me get one, for example. You're going to see your system prompt. Like this is what was sent, what you received on each part of your workflow that you have. This is very important for us when you're trying to troubleshoot or to understand where did it miss, or where did it go wrong. It was supposed to build a plan and it failed. Maybe we can try to, I can try to create a scenario here that we reach that some of these issues. We can try.
Let's try, and then we can jump into the BGP config, because we're getting closer to the top of the hour. We have like 8 more minutes. We can go over, but I know there's so many questions.
Okay, let's create one. Let me put the BGP quickly here. Then we're going to just, so that we can see, like, okay, so create an iBGP between R1 and R4. I'm not even going to specify that. It should, let's put via the edge routers, between edge routers via their loopback 1 interface. So it has to take a look at the configuration, understand what are the edge routers, what is the IP for the loopback interfaces, right? So it's
the AS number and everything, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think the AS number, we already have something. Maybe we can, in the meantime, sure on sec router, right? So we have, we have the we have, but we don't have any BGP here, right? So hopefully it will create, checking for ticketing system, running the network. I always try to follow along here just to see if it's following the graph as I built it. And yeah, resolving, check clarification. Should have soon check with us if it needs clarifications.
And then it's going to give you that approve option, right?
Yeah, so proceed with applying iBGP. Yes. IGP reachability already in place. Yeah, we already say IGP reachability exists. Okay, so we can proceed.
So while that goes in the background, a couple of other questions here. So Yoao was asking, did you learn all of this from the CPD Nuggets course?
the AI part? No. I mean, I learned most of the libraries from Python, right? So I learned about Docker, CI/CD, Napalm, Just let me see
Mhm.
here. BGP 114, this loop back, activate. Yeah, looks pretty good. So you see, like it found that is R1 and R4, the edge routers. It kept the router BGP, and okay, let's approve. And so no, I didn't. I mean, the network, the base for that, the ground, it was for this. I started, maybe if I can open here to the side, alternate ops. I started creating courses on this, right? While I was, let me log in. While I was studying, so and I started creating this. Ah, come on. While I started building. So usually the courses is me creating something. Usually the students, I take a lot of questions from the students. What are projects that they have been trying to tackle, and then I start creating this. So for example, if we go to courses, this one is in, it's only Portuguese, guys. If someone would like to see this in English, please drop me a message on LinkedIn, and we're going to get to it. So for example, this AI for network, so there is already some lessons about the OpenAI API, and I start creating like this LangChain. See, like, so building the chain. This one is just for the guys. Usually we have a sandbox, and all the lessons are me going like explain the concept, and then we go from here, like, okay, talking to the network from scratch, and then it's more like exploring on my free time. So that's it.
Very, very cool. So you all check out that. And I mean, with AI now, you can, within a couple of days, translate all the Portuguese content into English, I'm sure.
Yeah, the problem is to record again, right? Because all the lessons, something. Maybe can I do a merchandise on the end?
Of course.
All the lessons, they are built with. Let me go to the lessons. All the lessons, they have the written part, the explanation part. So, for example, NetMiko, Scraply, and they have a lab. So I also solve the lab. So, for example, I don't know, it can be this one, Jason, whatever. Usually, it has here the part, the written part, right? You have the video, and at the end, does this one have lab? Yeah, lab. So you have a lab. It's going to spin up for you. It uses the code spaces. So yeah, you're just going to come here, begin lab. And we have also a lot of labs from boot camps that we did, some workshops, and it starts spinning up for you like the lab. Hopefully it will load here. All the other ones taking a while. Yeah, so like doing MCP, spinning up from scratch, Olama, BGP, this one, Edge to Cloud lab that we have the information to. We create a VPN to AWS with using Terraform, and that's the idea. So basically, yeah, you in the course you see me building. That's the idea. Then we have Ansible course and so on, and that's where most of the these ideas and the learned came from.
Very,
Yeah,
very cool. So yeah, and here Froe says that, yeah, we should learn Portuguese. So
no,
if you
it's
wanna do
on
that
the
course.
roadmap to translate it to English. Hopefully, it will be there soon, and hopefully, I'll get some help also from some guys. If you found this interesting or enthusiastic about it, as the same way I was, like, wow, this can be very powerful. It's already, I think it's decent enough, but it can get very, very powerful, right? So then, yeah. So if we go now to the devices, maybe all of them. Show, just to show IP int brief, you're going to see that, right? IP int brief, it's working. Okay. Show BGP sum.
BGP summary, yeah, or
IP,
BGP
yeah.
summary.
Where is it?
BGP, not BPG.
Okay, of course. Come on. Yeah. Okay. So we see we have the BGP up and running from both of the routers.
Rather 1 out of 4, yeah.
Yeah, and then, I mean, if we had time, we can start doing troubleshooting. The part that is very interesting is like, okay, let's break something. We would take suggestions. Maybe we can do this on another time, right?
Yeah, we'll bring you back, Pedro, for sure. If you want to come, we'll definitely, because 1 hour is not enough to cover everything.
Yeah.
We'll do a
Then
second part of this, guaranteed.
yeah. And then maybe
Um,
hopefully I can have more time to explain step by step, and we didn't have time to get into the code. I would like to show you guys the code for this.
Yeah, so we'll bring you back fairly soon. We'll see when you're available, and we'll do a second part of this, folks. So make sure you follow us and see when we're going to bring you the second episode of this, the second part. A couple of questions also before lots of interactions today. Do you have any tip? We'll get to that in a bit. So the CIS is compliance benchmark for network devices, similar to OWASP. From what I've seen, CISecurity.org. Anis, I was not aware of that. I don't know if Pedro you were, but it seems like they have some recommendations for doing security benchmarks for network devices. So
Okay.
that would be an interesting one. I don't think you're aware of it, so I don't think your solution supports it as of yet.
Probably not.
Yes. And then are these queries synchronous or asynchronous?
Async.
Was asking.
It's all async. It's oh no, wait. Now that you said it's async, it's using Scraply on the backend to talk to the devices. Naturally, for example, storing some files. I cannot support that, so that's why I put some parts to be on the Celery, but it's all built to be async. Let me share quickly again, if I have the last minutes. I have something here since you talked. Come on, where is it? Entire screen. Yeah. Here on the no, where is it? Spot. Yeah. So here on the compliance checks, I created already some basic template. So you see, I have the bait. There is Cisco.
Oh, you have UCIS one.
Yeah.
Right there.
So there is all this AAA. So you can expand and import all of them. And maybe on the second try, we can go further into them, or how I built this and how we can build maybe we could build a check for the BGP now, since it's up, right? So, and yeah, maybe we can also see now the topology, the BGP bringing up on the topology should be pretty quick. Oh no, yeah, okay, so we see now that we have here the BGP, and if you go only to the BGP, you're going to see only this is your logical connection. And if you see, I mean, as I said, this is in kind of in production. I have the information, so you would see like this in a 2000 networking environment. It's beautiful. It's a star. Yeah. So it's very interesting to see. So yeah,
so cool, and it does scale right to those large environments. That
it does. The one I've been testing is where I mean when we don't put the ACI environment, we're talking 2,000-ish devices, something like this. And yeah, naturally, we have to see how many interactions we have on the compliance, or for how many engineers are SSHing and opening connections. We didn't get into this part. On the multi-devices, we have some limitation on commands that you can run. And despite you having like TechX, you have already this security part, since you cannot run on multiple devices, so to do a damage, and we have some rate limiting solution parts. So yeah, this works in larger environments.
Perfect. And then a couple of questions before we wrap up, because I want to answer all of them if we can. So CS compliance, we've seen Anis, yes, it's supported. Can Pedro also share without AI tool that he's using in production? We'll do that in our next episode. Any tips for those who are starting to learn automation? So besides CBT Nuggets, we've told them, you've showed the AutoNetOps, right? And is that a resource free? How does it work, Pedro?
The AutoNetOps has some labs that are free. The rest is naturally paid course.
Gotcha. What else would you suggest? I mean, I would definitely suggest for folks getting started with automation, developer.cisco.com, right?
Of course. Naturally.
Right here, but
goes without saying.
The content over there, right?
Okay, I would say there is some very nice books that you have over there. So I have, for example, this Modern Network Observability that has the Christian Adel. There is one that is very nice. Christian Adel did like this website where he's talking about designing a network automation at scale. It's designingnetworkautomation.com. Check it out. It's very, very nice. And it's a great way to start. It talks about the designing principles, architectural thinking, like the building blocks, source of truth, observability, orchestration, presentation. There you go. Like you have, it's a good way to start.
And we've had Christian on this live stream also, so make sure you check previous episodes. We've had Christian, yeah, we've had him like 3 times on this, so make sure you check the previous episodes on this also. What else, Pedro, would you suggest, folks? I think that's good. That's good.
Then you have to go for the books. Then you cannot get away from the and to build something. My idea is like, okay, you don't have to build something big. You see, this started pretty small. It was me trying to put some pieces together, bring together different scripts, and eventually, like, okay, it became something much bigger. And in the company, there are also people that are integrating their own scripts to it. In the end, it's just on the next one, we'll break down the code, the idea behind it, how I built this to scale, and for people to create modules around it. It's also interesting to talk about these designing decisions.
Very, very cool. We have here blog.autonetops.com for blogs on more information about AutoNetOps. Thanks, Freitas, for sharing that. Made my day. Our day, really cool. Time to learn Portuguese. Could you send here, Joao, what would you like us to send here? Oh, resources. The links, check the YouTube channel. You're already on YouTube, so check the previous videos in this playlist, the Simplified Network Automation with Negro. You'll see there, look for Christian Adele, and we've had 3 of the folks that were at Network to Code talking about that network visibility, network observability book, right, that they've done. So
this one is very nice.
Make sure you check the playlist for previous videos. I've had 3 episodes with them that we've talked about just that book and the demos that David, Chris have set up for that book specifically. So we'll bring you back, Pedro. Let's see when you're available so that we continue this conversation. Thank you all so much for watching. We went here.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
See you next week with some best practices for developers, specifically with the network automation angle to them. So we'll go over UV and Make and how to use Container Lab for setting up environments. So that's coming up next week, same time, same place. We'll see you folks there. Pedro, thank you so much again. We'll bring you back. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you folks in the next one. Final thoughts from everybody. Pedro?
You know, I mean, man, I'm super excited. Thanks everyone for the opportunity. Really glad. It's a responsibility to be here with you, everybody, and hope to see you all soon.
We'll see you all soon with Pedro again to continue our conversation. So keep checking the playlist, and developer.cisco.com will have the content coming for you and Pedro coming back. Thank you all. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks, folks.